Hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Ayodele Osugbakun. Today on the program, IBB backs call for restructuring, says Nigeria must not break, and later in the program, Supreme Court warns political parties that harsh verdicts await unqualified candidates. I'll be hanging out with Adekunle Yusuf, Stella Sawyer, and Asuko James. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Now, today the romance between several ethnic nations that make up Nigeria is strained. Critics say Nigeria's federating units are at best marquis that can only come alive at the mercy of the center. This has fueled calls for restructuring. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and many other Nigerians have been speaking against the existing structures. On Monday, former military President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida joined the debates. He spoke against the hate speeches and the growing intolerance across the country and advised that Nigeria should be restructured and the power should be devolved. Even the opposition People's Democratic Party's Governors Forum agrees with the call, but unlike other governments of the day, restructuring Nigeria might still not be achieved under this government. Earlier this month, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, said restructuring Nigeria is not President Buhari's priority. In fact, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, said restructuring Nigeria is a tall order, while the Deputy Senate President, Senator Ibn Nala, the Deputy Senate Leader, that is Senator Ibn Nala, was quoted as saying those calling for restructuring are unpatriotic because it is not known to any Nigerian law. Can we still afford to ignore calls to restructure the federal system of government right now? Gentlemen, it's like a build-up. And after several months, if you remember in 2016, the Vice President, now the acting President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, actually spoke with us on this program for like 45 minutes to tell us about his stand on restructuring Nigeria. And he was misquoted in the media by saying that no, they did not, he did not say that it's not possible to restructure Nigeria, and we told him about his exploits as the Commissioner and Attorney General of Justice in Lagos State, and many times they had to go to court. He too corroborated it. But right now, what we are having is that starting from even the most unlikely quarters, that's from the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, he started it several months back, and this thing has been gaining momentum. And the situation we find ourselves now is something you cannot afford to discard this call right now. Adekunle.
Let me be honest. I'm not a fan of General Ibrahim Badamasi.
You don't have to be. So maybe you look at the message.
No, I will.
I mean, you leave the message.
Yes. My reasons are very simple.
All
I
right.
see him as one of the architects, even though the chief architects of, the state of hopelessness, that we have found ourselves in. But that's a discussion for another day. Okay. Because when you look at both Islam and Christianity, you are not expected to die as a sinner. You can always repent. So I love it if General Babangida is becoming a convert to development ideas for Nigeria. You see, when people make case for restructuring, it didn't start now. When you trace it back, it's been the major agenda of the southwest of Nigeria for a very long time. But unfortunately, this was not, good music to the ears of some other people, because some will misinterpret it as a call that hey, they wanted to break away from Nigeria. Believe me, when you restructure, a lot of agitations, a lot of inter-ethnic rivalry, a lot of mutual suspicion, a lot of things we just fizzle out naturally.
Are you very sure?
What do we mean?
This is the panacea to
our
problems.
I will explain to you, because when people talk about restructuring, it's a very big idea. But you can just look at the major item, one or two, and do them. For example, the soul of the crisis, you know, bedeviling Nigeria over the years is fiscal federalism. The bulk of the money you make for administering Nigeria comes from the south. But the bulk, when it comes to revenue sharing, goes to the north. They will tell you that this is the only federal system in the whole world that uses local government as basis for sharing. You know, it's not one of the tiers of federating units. But in Nigeria, it is made, but you have more local governments in the north than in the south. So when you want to share money, it goes. More goes to the north. When you want to share money, there are more states in the north than in the south. All these things were aberrations, you know, that were made, you know, formal by the military regimes of Nigeria. So when you go by this number of states, when you go by all these things, these are some of the problems that we have, you know, been contending with. But the problem now is, how do we address them? Because we know the problems. So if we have calls from Atiku Abubakar, I'm very glad that, because the section of Nigeria that should be appeased or that should be appealed to is actually the northern part of Nigeria.
Are you sure Atiku Abubakar is not singing the music that the Southerners want to hear?
No.
Because of 2019?
This time around, is okay. Does a Babangida want to contest the presidency of Nigeria? Okay. You know, as more and more people are becoming converts to this idea, it is actually in our own interest. It is in the interest of the North, it is in the interest of the South, it is in the interest of everybody, because without fiscal federalism, all these fears about, hey, what will happen? Some other part of Nigeria will not be able to do it. As far as I'm concerned, with my knowledge of Nigeria, the best person that can handle restructuring for Nigeria should actually come from the North, because that is where the greatest fears we come from.
Okay, Stella.
Okay.
We have the situation, the status quo now is that 52% of our earnings goes to the federal government, and the 36 states and 774 local governments. Yeah. We have to grapple with 48%.
Okay, I rather want to ask what kind of meaning, what kind of federalism, what does IBB actually is saying? What kind of restructuring is he, you know, agitating for?
I think okay.
You know, we really need to ask him, what does he want us to do?
Police,
is it are we going back to confederalism where the states will have more powers? I mean, you have the state police, we have more powers given to the center. I mean, more power being devolved from the center and given to states to handle. He really had to come out to say what kind of restructuring, you know, is he agitating for? Remember, we can't devolve this from IBB. IBB is actually the architect, or one of the main architects of the problem we're having in this country. 1993.
So it doesn't have a locus.
It doesn't have. I'm even surprised that it's
really?
Actually joining those. I mean, the bandwagon of those calling for restructuring.
What's the position of Adekunle when they say repentance is allowed? Even
no, not that.
Yes,
because look at 1993. Nigerians came out to vote, irrespective of where they came from.
They are yet to forgive him.
I mean, of course, you mentioned, I mean, democracy. People, I mean, mention IBB. People are thinking of, oh, where we are today is actually the problem. You actually started the problem.
Let me.
If we had had.
So looking at the message.
You know, so now if you had had 1993, the election, the fair and free election, if Abiola had been, you know, given the mandate,
the president, all our problem would have been solved.
I don't think
today.
we'll be in our present situation. Given the fact that, I mean, well, of course, I mean, I'm saying that because I was right in the thick of, you know, the election, and I knew what happened. It was, if we have to trace back, you know, in Nigerian history, that was where our problem started from. People started looking at, you know, at Nigerians. That's when people started realizing that, oh, you are from the north and you are from the south. And you can see that anger, that pain from people from the south that we were denied, you know, this presidency. The Northerners, oh, it's because the Northerners feel that, you know, what's it called? Power belongs to them. That is the origin of our problem in Nigeria. So that is even calling for restructuring now. I'm not saying he should not, you know, he has his rights.
It's a Nigerian.
He's a Nigerian. But what kind of restructuring is he calling for? Is he saying that more power should be given to the states.
He said so.
He said so.
He said so.
If that
He
is,
said
if
there
that
should
is
be
the
state
case,
police.
if that is the case, how do we go about it?
That.
Are we going to start, you know, devolving powers now? Okay, but are we going to the 3 regions that we have?
No, not
Are we
necessarily.
going to, you know, because I know the last, when Jonathan was in power, we had something close to a conference. People came out with decisions. The confab. What did they say? Have we discussed, have we analyzed what was discussed during the confab? Have we put those issues into practice?
Okay,
it's
Asuko,
about, you know,
okay,
what Nigeria
I'll come back to you. Asuko, part of the catch, he said the Southwest, and the Southwest has always been at the vanguard of restructuring Nigeria. And when APC, when they were packaging APC to Nigerians, when they were telling us about what APC would do, and, you know, so it was so attractive, and restructuring was part of this.
Especially
item.
fiscal federalism.
Yes, fiscal federalism was part of this item. I took my turn. Before I came into the studio, I had to go back to the 81 promises made by the All Progressive Congress.
But not made by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Wow, you can't
take
divorce
him away from
the kind of system we run in
was a symbol
Nigeria.
of the party.
You can't separate President Muhammadu Buhari from APC.
From the yes, from the party.
His
He
own
ran
camp,
through a vehicle.
His own camp will not accept that.
Those are
Internal,
technicalities. But what I'm saying, the APC as a party promised Nigerians that they were going to look into the issue of fiscal federalism. 2 years down the line, have they done anything that is close to that?
Well, just like you said, the major campaigners and the major advocates of APC are advocates, or before the emergence of APC, we are advocates of federalism, restructuring, true federalism and fiscal federalism. And for the past 2 years, nothing has even shown us that they are even marching towards that, giving us true federalism or fiscal federalism. The only state that I think wants to try and remove itself from the center has been Lagos. But if you look at it, even when Lagos wants to try and, you know, seemingly want to do what we want to call the federal system, they still need to go back to the central government.
Because the way the structure is.
Because of how the structure is. So the APC that happens to be the ruling party today, because of the internal problems they've been having, it will be very difficult for them to achieve federalism, either true or physical, except they all come together and begin to think, okay, or begin to say, because if you look at it,
the House is presently divided.
The deputy Senate leader is APC. And he's telling us that the way the framers of the Constitution actually wrote the Constitution,
and he's a lawyer,
you should know, says that there's nothing like restructuring. But Nigeria is called the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And anything that is called the federal system means that there's no how that the country shouldn't be restructured. There's no how the country should not have true federalism. There's no how we can be experiencing fiscal
federalism. We are answering federal
because that federal is there.
But we are practicing wholesale unitary system of government. So it's a big contradiction.
It's serious contradiction. So that is why him being a lawyer and also a member of the House, National Assembly.
Call him a beneficiary.
Because he's a beneficiary, that is why he's telling us now that it can be possible. You understand? But it can be possible if they sit down and say, okay, let's reform this constitution to look like, okay, a true federal system.
Okay, we're looking at the exclusive lists, the concurrent lists, and those items that you have. And part of our problems, when you think about what we are going through right now, there was a time I went to the ever busy Atlanta airport, and as big as that airport and everything, I was told that it's run by the municipal there, a local government. The busiest, I think the last time I checked, is one of the busiest airports
you are right.
in the world.
One of the
you know,
entry
being
points of
administered by a local government.
Yes.
That means
What we call
we don't
the-
have any reason to have Federal Airport Authority
Okay.
of Nigeria
Okay.
that is
All-
central body
yes.
controlling
All
all
the-
the
your
airports and
LCCAA.
everything. So we have things that are setting us back. When you look at federal roads, in Lagos State now, there are a number of federal roads that you have. And when you see this trend, is it not worrisome as 2017?
You see, if you carpet this government, the APC government, you should also think about what has been done in the past.
Okay,
because
okay,
even
let me just quickly take this break. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's Journalist Hangout, and we're looking at the call to restructure the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back. IBB actually said restructuring Nigeria is not the final solution. Now, will restructuring solve this agitation, this problem of those people that are saying they've been marginalized?
I agree with IBB 100%. Let me be very honest with you. I had to go and read this full text. I didn't want to go by what news writers wrote about what he said. I had to go and read
The original?
I agree with him totally 100%. When some people wanted the idea of FOIB, it will take us to the Eldorado. Where is that?
Where's FOIB?
Restructuring will not solve all our problems.
FOIB is not
because
the most
most of our
secreted
problems are man
Made.
problem.
Yeah.
I agree with him 100%.
Because there's
But majority of our problems will fizzle out. For example, the agitation by the Southeast, some of the boys that they want to carve away from Nigeria, the agitation here and there. Pre-1966 Nigeria, when you look at the First Republic, you had 50%, you know, derivation, that whatever is found
In that,
in
your
your
locality
locality,
will be used to
you hold
develop-
50% of it,
Yeah.
and you give 50% to the federal government
Yeah.
of Nigeria. Today, what do you have? You said 13%. And as at 2012, the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, who happens to be the former governor of Niger State, were even abusing the Southerners, especially the South-South, of resource tyranny, that at the time, that 13% is even too much. So if you do what they call fiscal federalism, what will happen is that the man who is blessed with cocoa or groundnut or anything, whatever you are able to derive from revenue from that,
Will be used to develop, yeah.
the bulk of it will be used to develop, because at that time you will no longer be abusing the federal authorities.
Yeah.
You will focus your energy on your local
Yeah.
leaders. So the agitation for kidnapping, for oil resource control will fizzle out naturally. Then who are the ones saying that Biafra thing will not die when you do fiscal federalism, because the Southeast people will realize that they are getting because there will be equity, there will be fairness, and there will be justice.
You can manage what you produce.
So you will no longer use local government as a basis for sharing revenue. You know, local government in Nigeria, if you trace history, Lagos State and Kano used to be at par in population and everything. Local government. How many states have been carved out of Kano?
Jigawa was
today
carved.
Kano has the highest number of local governments in Nigeria. Lagos State still retains the old. Is it 20 or 22?
20 and 37 LCDA.
Oh, that were not recognized by the federal government. So when you look at all this, most of the problems will go. Look at we have 68 items on the exclusive list.
Yes.
Exclusive.
We are a federal system. Why?
Federal roads.
Why must a Lagos
road safety council?
Why must a Lagos
federal road safety
why must a Lagos state governor go to Abuja to beg because he wants to do a road in his state? Why must he now go and kneel down because he wants to do
airport road?
That is just one.
So then when you go to America, when you go to America on the same exclusive list, and America is the best form of federalism when you want to say, you have only 12 items.
12 items. Yeah. We talk maybe defense,
foreign
relations and all.
But in Nigeria,
okay, let me take Sam Ali from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Good evening.
Yes, the issue of restructuring.
Yes.
I do say we miss it from the one. Those who were given the mantle of leadership when the British left us were the ones who dodged it. Vis-a-vis Isaac Iwe Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa and co. These people were mere tribal leaders. There was nobody at the center we can hold on to as a national leader. They were not after Nigeria being, they were not after the Nigeria state being one. The IBB now coming talking of restructuring. For 8 years he was there as a dictator. When he would have done it, nobody would have challenged him. He is now coming back to tell us that, this Maradona game of his has not left him.
Thank you, Samali. Thank you, Samali. But one thing that is very important here, IBB was the president of Nigeria, military president, how many years ago?
We're talking about
1993. As of 1993, we might not be faced with all the problems that we are faced right now. So it might not have restructured Nigeria, or that call might not be so expedient as in 2017. So somebody that cannot tell me,
let's talk about
you can't tell me that in 2017, IBB will now, from 1993 to 2017, it will watch what is happening in Nigeria, and it cannot contribute.
How come he's talking now? How many years ago? Okay, let's like you said, let's talk about the message. He was talking about
what he has said?
Well, there's merit in what he had said. But I think the problem is also the problems of the elite. It's as if we're confused. Why are we talking about restructuring now when all along we know the problem of our country? It's our leaders. We don't have people who genuinely love this country and want to put things right. For now, he was talking about, when we talk about road construction, you have to get permission, especially federal road.
Yes.
Well, okay, we're talking about most states now thinking of having their power doing PPP.
Yes.
Lagos started it some few years back.
Projects.
We knew how successful that is.
No, they had to tell the man, former governor of Lagos State,
whatever you get, you have to get to the national grid. I mean, all those things. You think people are happy that things like this are happening? It just shows that, fine, there are some people who genuinely love this country and want to put things right. And there are people out there, I want to use the word elite, who are bent on, making sure that Nigeria just did not continue to remain as well. I don't know their interest, but I mean, the agitation now is coming from people who feel, okay, maybe they are not enjoying the country the way they were used to. Maybe there's no money. I have to talk about the economy situation now. And they are thinking of, okay, what else can we say, at least to bring ourselves to limelight? For now, what Nigeria needs is good governance. Getting things done, getting things right. Like I keep saying on this program, what an average Nigeria is concerned about is how food will get to his or her table. Children must go to school, fees must be paid. You know, how we could pay for, you know, people want the basic things of life.
All right, I will take a cue from what you just said. Asukwo, we're restructuring the country the way it is right now. Will it solve our basic everyday problem?
Well, to some extent. When the producer told me, okay, what we are talking about is restructuring thing, I had to go into, let me just read some people and some editorials and all. I know Olisagbakuba once was always saying something about devolution of power and all. And there was a time he said, he even sent a private member bill to the National Assembly, you know, telling and outlining why they have to be this restructuring and devolution of power. Just like we mentioned, 68 items in the exclusive list. It doesn't make sense. Health, for instance, education, road, you know, all those basic things that even the state government can easily, you know, when once they look, just take for instance during the Ebola time, everybody saw the action
of a particular state.
Fashola did. It took him, you know, days, sleepless nights for him to be able to curtail Ebola from spreading in Lagos. He didn't wait for the federal government. It took the federal government some days or weeks for them to now say, okay, let's sit down. It's just like what is happening even in the meningitis issue. Most states, we are just looking and waiting until the thing started spreading from 93 to 1,000 plus in some states in the north. Why? Because they are waiting for the federal government to go and look for vaccines.
The Ministry of Health.
You understand? The federal Ministry of Health to look for vaccines for them to be able to take care of their own subjects.
Okay.
Which to me...
Let me quickly take Anthony. Anthony is calling us from Anambra State. Thank you for joining us, Anthony. Good evening, Anthony.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the good work, and I'm really missing told you what's name again.
Babajide.
Yeah. Babajide, that's a wonderful analyst. I love you so much.
All right.
I really want to contribute briefly on this issue. In summary of what is happening in this country, me and you, everybody knows. I don't know why the North are so afraid of this restructuring. If we restructure this country, take it or you leave it, all this agitation will come to an end. I was listening to that, Mrs. Sawyer, who was discussing with the other man. You see, the North or Cardiff alone is taking 44 local governments. And this all was figured out of there. The Lagos only still remains 20 local governments. And when they share this, they take a huge chunk of money. Why are they afraid of the restructuring of this country? By the time they restructure this country, everybody should learn to look inward to develop its state or merge their state. By so doing, believe you me, all this agitation will be a thing of the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like I was saying, the U.S. economy, because of how they diversified, it is the states that runs the U.S. economy.
Even California is the sixth largest economy in the world. As a state.
You know, I was reading something. California bases its GDP on $2.2 trillion. And do you know what they do? They are not into everything. No. They are just into technology and ICT and entertainment. You know, just like Massachusetts. You know, Boston. Those ones are just education.
You have MIT in Boston, you have Harvard in Boston, you have Boston University.
So they are not into, okay, they want to do this, they want to do. So if, for instance, Lagos takes, okay, we want to take only agriculture, and then the federal government gives them, or tourism. The federal government gives them the free hand to do it.
Agriculture.
Just give it to them and let them just face that agriculture. That is the only thing.
Do you know why?
Okay, let me quickly rush to take another breather. When we come back, we'll still discussing restructuring Nigeria. Still journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Journalist Hangout. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from our television Continental here studios in Lagos, Nigeria. And we're looking at restructuring Nigeria. The bottom line there is that from what we've read in the past, is not the absence of this law, it's not the absence of this framework.
No.
From Littleton Constitution to Macpherson to Richard to 1979 Constitution to 2006 or 2005 Confab, down to 2014 Confab. We've always had these things that we sit down and
the Jojo talk,
we're still in the same place. Is it the problem of implementation?
Definitely.
Because if we're talking about restructuring now, that means, is it we have to look at the recommendation of 2014 confab, or we sit down in another confab, or we call on our National Assembly that tinker with the existing law, but there must be a process to amend the Constitution right now?
It is the problem of lack of political will to solve our problems. It is the problem of, hypocrisy in leadership. And those who are there now, they should stop playing the ostrich. They know the problems, but the political will to solve it. You know why I'm happy that people like Babangida, IBB, and others are coming out to defend or support restructuring. Do you know why? It's because without the support of the North, you can never solve one single problem. One of the
so we need to get them into
just
this
one.
vehicle.
They are the ones that we should appeal to, because the biggest fears normally come from there. First, you need whatever solution you will have. You need the House of Representatives, and the North contributes at least 65% of members of the House of Representatives
because of the structure, right?
So why shouldn't you talk to people from that place? When then you go to the Senate, more than 52% of people in that chamber,
Senate out of 109,
come from there. So you really need it. You really need them.
It's just like a case of special status.
You really need them. That one, when you
by the time they didn't buy into it,
when you restructure, especially when you do fiscal federalism, it will eradicate indolence. It will make everybody to look inward. It will encourage competition. I mean, LD rivalry. Then what it will unleash the creative energy of each section of Nigeria. These are the inbuilt beauties of federalism. Those things have been stymied over the years, even from the military rule. And by the time they did it, they skewed this federalism in favor of one section of Nigeria at the expense of the other section of Nigeria, which is, an antithesis to natural justice.
State police.
Before that, something came to my mind. What are the Northerners? What are they doing about sensitizing their people concerning looking inward? Remember, I mean, when we're in school, they keep teaching us how, the different region, developed. Those in the West developed because they had cocoa, and we have the cocoa house. In the North, you have the cotton, and, in the South, you have,
They're not doing badly in coming to that zone.
No.
The Northerners are farmers.
Excuse me.
And
so what has happened to the pyramids? What has happened to what
leadership? It's leadership.
Now you are coming.
The average Northerner is even more hardworking than the Southerners. I know them very well.
Good. So why
extremely hardworking
why
people.
are their leaders not insisting? Now, I mean, it's as if everybody just quiet and people are just doing whatever.
The leadership.
That is what I'm saying. The leaders now have to sit back, look at themselves and say, this is our people, and we need to go back to where we're coming from and make this country better.
Asuko, this agitation.
You said something about
state police. That's
definitely it is part of the fear that is being spread around, that when once you start with
governors will misuse them.
Governors are going to misuse the opportunity and all that. We need state police, whether we like it
or not,
or we don't. Because the state police is from the state police. Take, for instance, we are staying in Lagos and they are bringing somebody from Borno to come and secure you.
The person understand
how will you understand your language? How
like
will you know
what Lagos State is doing with the neighborhood watch right now
to
collaborate with the police?
And some areas where we've been having problems.
In other climes, even universities have police.
That's what I wanted to.
Universities have police. And this police, they will know every student by their name and their social security number. And
if somebody is coming to town new,
they'll profile the person. Where is this person coming from? Who is the person coming to meet?
They actually understand the terrain too.
So it's not about we doing the state police or a particular state needs the state police. It is very, very imperative, especially now that the security situation is very terrible.
Porous,
nowhere in Nigeria is safe. You are going to your house, you are looking left, right, and center. Recently, a kidnapper, a celebrated kidnapper, was actually arrested in a very celebrated area in Lagos. You know, in a celebrated, and that is the place that I will visit like every day, but you won't know because every day you just.
I live in that city.
Do you know one funny
Lord
thing?
Evans.
Do you know?
They call him Lord Evans.
Do you know the one funny thing? When they will tell you that you should not talk, you should not talk about state police. It's the state governments all over Nigeria that actually fund the police. Ask any state government.
Yes.
Without the support of any state government,
there is
no state police commander can last 24 hours.
Why can't
Yes.
they now
They fund the vehicle, they buy the vehicles for them.
Allowances.
So
Because
why
the
can't
cash
they
from the
legalize
federal
it?
government cannot take them home.
Yes.
Why can't
It's so
they now
underfunded.
legalize it? Why can't they legalize it? Let them make it a
So
law
if you
that now the state police should be run by
I don't
the
know
states.
why we are afraid of our
And
shadow.
don't make it centralized. Don't make it that,
Alright.
okay, you want police officers, they
Okay.
have to go to the IG in Abuja.
We have to move on, gentlemen. Last Friday, the Supreme Court sacked 2 lawmakers from the National Assembly for failing to comply with the provisions of the electoral laws and the laws of their party. In the judgment, the court warned that political parties that fail to play by the rules would have a hard and very bitter lesson to learn. In two separate judgments, the Apex Court ordered Senator Sani Danladi of the Senate and Amman Embe of the House of Representatives to refund all the salaries and all the emoluments which they collected while occupying their respective seats in the National Assembly. It also ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to withdraw their certificate of return, and issue another one to those who brought them to court. Now, the court said one of the lawmakers was not even qualified to contest. What kind of democracy do our political parties practice? Gentlemen, it's now, it's reflective of what is even happening everywhere.
Right here, we've been saying that we have so many foreign characters in this National Assembly. How did people, get being elected? It's just this issue of, I have the money, I have the backing of a godfathers, and somebody just wake up and say, oh, this is the person I want, and
the person,
the person gets it. As I was discussing this, somebody said, we need to go back to the days of the Awolowos, the days of where political parties will be the one who will decide who will represent the party. You don't even have to be a money
vehicles.
You have number one, you have to be a strong party member.
Yeah.
Somebody who understands what the party stands for. Somebody the ideology. Right from scratch, you'll be part of the party. The formation of the party. That's as they call it. Yoruba. Then you don't even have to have money. There are Jacksons that I know. Yeah. I read about them. They are
you are talking about Second Republic. Yes. It even came as late as 1999.
Okay.
The Lam Adeshinas of this world, they are not
really
rich people. The Adefaratis of this world, they are not rich people.
They won
election fair and square.
But don't forget the fact that time and now, there's a big difference. The big difference is that if you belong to a political party, then you will have a card.
Yeah.
You contribute.
Yes.
Today, when you go to any political meeting, whether you're a member or you share something there. Ask them.
That's what I'm saying. They make it a money. They make it a money thing.
When you go there and you are not giving anything,
corruption.
By the grace of God, next week you won't attend any meeting.
You see.
They will beg you will not even show up. So they know how they will package small rice or something, then small change from every level to the highest level. So what this means is that you ask, where does the money come from?
So
some other people, some people will now have to hijack the system one way or the other to push in money, and those who put in money, they will have to control what happens. So from the local government to the highest level, there is no
the judgment of the Supreme Court was quite instructive and emphatic, because they're saying that, look, bye-bye to impunity, especially at the political party level, that you played by the rule of your party. Because we've seen a lot of people that emerge as the flag bearer of their political parties, but in the wisdom of the leadership of that party, another person was nominated. And this is where, and this has seen, make sure that this man, Aman Imbe, and Senator Danladi, and if the Apex Court is actually saying this, and is telling them, all what you've collected in the National Assembly, return it. And that's quite novel.
It's novel. Now, anyway, I want to tell you that so many other senators might even go down. I know a particular senator that is representing my zone. You know, the Federal High Court also sacked him. You know, Mbasi Albert, the Federal High Court actually sacked him and said, okay, return all the monies, your salaries and everything. Say back to Basi Etim, you know, and do you know what? Rather than him doing that,
he appealed.
When you appealed,
he appealed. In fact, he even went to a Federal High Court again to stop that particular judgment, which to me is an abuse.
It's another abuse.
Court process. You know, then he now went for appeal. Now, the thing is, why didn't the Senate President actually carry out that Federal High Court? He's going to the appeal. By the time he gets to the Supreme Court, this is the same thing that would befall him.
It took this one 2 years now.
It took him 2 years. But that is the problem.
The Apex Court has ruled.
That is the problem with the judiciary now. Because if he goes to the appeal, it might take another 2 years, 1 year, and the man will just be there and enjoying
all the travel
everything.
allowance. Where is he going to
do? You know that he's the chairman. This person is the chairman, Senate Committee on Oil and Gas, upstream also.
Wow,
so
juicy.
you can see that his position is juicy. So it will be very difficult. So this judgment, this Supreme Court judgment is now going to go straight into all the political parties. It's not going to be business as usual, whereby a particular person will go to the primaries, he will win election, and when they are going to INEC, they will now put another person. People can now have confidence and say, okay, we will go with this process, this primary process. And eventually, if I take first, nobody will substitute my name.
I think that is also rocking the All Progressive Congress in Lagos State, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of noise about the local government election.
Did they do the primaries?
The primaries
as at yesterday, the party came out to say that has not even submitted.
You can see.
Because the crisis has never been finally solved.
Yes.
You know, it's very, very volatile in a lot of places. But what we are saying is, this judgment is good. But it's not good enough in the sense that it has taken too long.
Thank you.
That's even happening. We should comment.
I want the system to fast track its activities in a way that this AMB of a man, we know his track record.
Exactly.
The other one, the same thing. Why did he enjoy unmerited favor, access to public fund for over 2 years?
And it's been there. Well,
this is criminal.
It's criminal.
Now, how will we be able to guarantee how much has accrued to his pockets? Because what we normally see, normally see is their salary, and this. A lot of other things goes, go into it. How do we compute all those things? This is not fair to us as a country.
We need to go back to the question you asked. What kind of democracy, do our political parties practice?
Politics of impunity.
That is it. So it is high time our political parties. It's about knowing the rights from the wrong.
When we are close to election primaries, that is when party leaders will get rich.
That is it.
Because like 7-8 people, or anybody that is contesting for a particular position,
and this present administration is talking about
party leaders
curbing corruption. And how do we start?
And those ones will now circumvent their rules just because of
what comes into there.
And gentlemen, another thing we want to raise now, like this state independent electoral commission, because
who funds them?
Yes,
it's the states.
It's difficult.
You look at their name. It's legal. I mean, okay, let's use Lagos State electoral. Talk of Ogun State. It is something like that. Those who appoint.
Let me take my final break. I'll go on this final break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Still journalist Hangout. So, we're talking about the independence of this umpire, especially the state's, electoral commission. You can tell me if, in case of a governor now, will have like a kind of hold on the so-called State Independent Electoral Commission. Yeah. That's why you've seen...
Not just hold, they finance.
Yes, that's why you've seen most of these local government results. It is
all true. I mean, the party in power.
The party in the state
the party
that
in power.
wins.
So there's a mad rush for the ruling party who becomes the flag bearer.
Yes.
But that's not by the vote of the people. Because forget the independence they add to the name. There's nothing independent about all this Lasiek, Oxiek, Osiek, whatever they call it. There's nothing like that. I'm not talking about the federal level. We are talking about the state level now. So when you now hold local government election, what happens is that the party that controls the state apparatus of governance also wins all the local government seats.
Yeah.
In spite of this, most of our governors are also
interested,
are even afraid of conducting local government election. They will tell you they are doing well, they control the people, they are popular, but they will not be able to conduct. They will now be doing illegality of appointing their own cronies
administration
to manage. So as you see it in the south, you see it in the north. It's a problem that is a national malice all over.
And looking at the verdict of this Supreme Court now, days ahead from what you said, and from this judgment, it was the CJN himself that Justice Walter Onole actually presided over this particular case. And we have lawmakers that the case pending at the appeal level, pending at the tribunal level. It can't be tribunal.
It's not tribunal.
Most of it, because there's a time bound now. Tribunal level, you can't spend more than 180 days. No. So most of them were expecting their verdicts at the Supreme Court. And what do we expect?
No, we should be expecting shockers from all the verdicts.
Just like this one?
Just like this. Just like this. We should be expecting them. Because if we continue the way we are before, and not getting judgments or rulings that are like this, we'll keep going from
same old story.
Same old story, and people will feel cheated. So there have to be a way to rein in on all this impunity, one way or the other. Because if we don't do it now, we are talking about restructuring.
Yeah.
Okay, when are we going to?
Let me attend to Mohammed. Mohammed is calling us from Kwara State.
I think
hello.
No,
he's gone.
I think Mohammed.
So we need more. I was even saying, why do we even need to go to the Supreme Court? We should be at the federal. Everything that concerns election should end at the federal High Court.
So,
you shouldn't go to an appeal. You shouldn't even get to appeal. But once again, because it will make it faster.
If you remember, it was an amendment. If you remember,
unless you don't understand the volatile nature of our politics, it's not for service.
It's too long.
No, it's not for service. They know how to manipulate the system. That's why they try to now say, let's mitigate it. Go to the Supreme Court.
Because after the federal High Court, after they are going to the appeal court, they will now wait at the appeal for another 1 year.
Okay, I think Mohammed from Kwara called back.
He's back, okay. What's the problem?
Well,
I think
what is happening is that, the governorship tribunal before, the governorship dispute terminates at the Court of Appeal before.
Yes.
But when they saw the manipulations, the high level
of course,
they had to make sure that you go through
bribery.
Do you understand? You have to now go through the Supreme Court.
So that at least you know that you have higher courts.
And this judgment is telling the political parties that no to impunity.
Once impunity,
your candidate must go through the democratic process.
I'm even looking at most political parties should now be rewriting their constitution or whatever party. Yeah, because if not, there's no need for imposition. All those political parties that have imposition in their constitution,
there is no imposition in any party.
Let them remove it.
It's not in their body. It's in their individuals.
It's not.
Okay, let me take my final caller. Okoli is calling us from River State. Hello, Okoli. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yes, Okoli. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
sir.
Yeah, my contribution in this conversation is this: we have a lot of problem in this country. If you can be sincere with ourselves, I would remember if we are talking about restoration. There was a time when Nigeria used what we can produce, what you can use, what we can do after your school as a handiwork. Nigeria began having problems immediately to change handiwork to money, which they know very well that they cannot produce money after your school. They are denied you to know your real talent. That's the reason why, because what is good may not be right, and what is right may not be good. That reason why that whenever you finish school, you have to choose a course.
Thank you, Okoye. Thank you. Our time is fast spent. Gentlemen, our final take on this. So, message to these political parties. Right now, we have newly registered political parties. I can't even count them again.
Of course,
Some of our political gladiators should please rid themselves of impunity.
Okay.
And the system should evolve a way whereby all these appeals will not be this long, because judgment, justice delayed is justice denied. Yeah.
Stella.
Yeah, my take is, we need credible people to lead us in this country. Political parties should start thinking of, looking inwards to look at credible people that will not only carry out their manifesto, make sure that Nigeria is put in the right state.
Yeah, I think political parties should now look at this judgment or this ruling and know that the end of impunity is fast becoming, and it's coming to an end. Impunity is coming to an end. So they must always insist on primaries. Free and fair system.
All right. Thank you so much, Aksuko. Jane, Stella.
Thank you.
Thank you for being part of the J today. And the long holiday, I think it's over today.
It's over.
Tomorrow
Work,
we have
work
to go.
starts tomorrow.
Work starts tomorrow. And we think in the next 40 days, we are warming up for the proper one. After 2 months. That's the Salah celebration.
Okay,
I can't just wait. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. That's on DSTV 418 and GoTV 45. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. My name is Ayodele Ozubako. See you tomorrow. God bless Nigeria.